Welcome to the Whovian Wire podcast, in which we go through each episode of Doctor Who after watching it and yap about it because we're both Doctor Who nerds. This is Josh and I am Alan, and today's episode we are focusing on is The End of the World, Series 1. Now, I always had a weird, I wasn't a big fan of this episode, but after rewatch, I can say my opinion's changed. What's been your thoughts on this episode before rewatching it?
Well, it was kind of the opposite of yours. Like, you didn't like it as much, but then I quite enjoyed it, and now it's actually changed to the opposite, where I didn't quite enjoy it. I found it quite boring.
Fascinating.
Well, not boring, but
I mean, we'll talk more
not
at the end to see. Yeah. So, let's just begin. So, obviously, starts off with Rose and the Doctor in the TARDIS after just literally abandoning Mickey, the traumatized Mickey, you know. And the Doctor's like, "So, backwards or forwards?" I think he says that. I'm hoping that's the right episode. Yeah. So I've just watched a completely wrong episode. No, yeah. Anyways,
they'll say backwards or forwards.
Now, I would say immediately you can tell that the Rose and the Doctor has quite a good chemistry already going on. Would you agree?
Yeah, they do bounce off each other. Like, she's just shocked and saying whatever comes to mind. It doesn't feel like very scripted at the moment.
No, yeah. But I think that's good. I think that's good writing. I think the fact that we're already getting a bit of the bonding and it doesn't feel too forced, which I can't say for future companions.
Well, we'll talk about those when we get to them.
Indeed.
It may take a while.
So anyways, Rose then decides, let's go to the future. So he does his little woo with his wheel. And it's like 100 years. No, more. And then he just 360s that wheel like 100 times. And then now, here for a little fun fact for anyone who's watched Doctor Who and doesn't know this. The vortex actually shows you if he's going backwards or forwards in time. So if it's red, it actually means he's going forwards through time. And if it's blue, it means he's going backwards in time, which a lot of people didn't actually know was a connection, but that's why episodes where they go to the future, it's red, and then episodes when they go back in time, it's blue. Just a little fun fact for you that. I know. Shocked. Did you know that?
Very. I did not know that. I know some about David Tennant's, but I'll say that when we get to it.
Yeah, but no. So yeah, blue, backwards, red, forwards. That's which I love that they've already gotten into the show, which I like. Another thing I noticed whilst watching this episode is Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor. He just pressed any buttons he wanted to on set.
I mean, that's kind of how it.
Nah, you gotta admit, like David Tennant, 10th Doctor, because when you watch him, he looks like he actually has read like the instructions and like actually, like throughout the episodes, you actually see what certain buttons do and they stick to that. Where like in this episode, he just spams any buttons and that's job's a good one.
I think it's because like
obviously it's early days and he wasn't even a big fan of Doctor Who or anything like that. So again, this isn't me like saying this is going to lose a point because of it. I just find it funny that this one is like very.
Unless they establish the later continuity what those buttons do.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
I don't know. I haven't really watched what buttons and what age.
You haven't paid attention to the buttons like I have, I see. Anyways. So obviously then we land on the ship. Now I don't actually know, does the ship get a name? I feel like it does get given a name, but I am too stubborn to try and remember that.
I can't remember it.
Yeah, no. But anyways, so we step out and you see the Earth and the sun. And it's like, whoa. Now, and then the Doctor says, the Rose says, how far into the future are we? And he says, we are 5.5/Apple/26 in the future. Does that even math? Is that maths? Does Apple actually mean something?
I think it might do in some form in the future.
some situation. I just love how like naturally rolls off the tongue as it's like, divide by apple or whatever.
I mean, it's kind of how, like, in actual maths, it's like to 26th decimal point or whatever. It's kind of like that, but there's probably a different way of saying it now since it is, what, billions of years in the future?
Yeah, 5 billion
Yeah,
5
5
billion
billion.
futures in the year. No, 5 billion years in the future. So anyways, so then obviously the shock value happens and it's like, whoa. And then we get into the tradition, a staple of modern Doctor Who, the intro. I am happy that they have now started the cold open into an intro. I think that's the perfect way to do the intro to Doctor Who. Like,
I mean, now, because, like, in the first episode, it made
yeah, they
sense.
had to. Yeah, they
Why
had
do this
to. Yeah,
random?
yeah. But I would say now that it's episode 2, I'm so happy that they can now just be like, whoa, and then just do 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 do. But you know, and then it goes on to the Blue Man.
Blue Man.
Yes, the hostess, the stewardess, whatever his chops is. He comes into the room like, oi, who are you? In which the Doctor now pulls out the psychic paper, which I believe is used for the first time. Now, I'm no classic Whovian expertise, so I can't fully claim it is the first time it's been used, but I'm gonna say it is, I think. Unless if you think of any past Doctors before 9, what might have used it.
I mean, I can't remember any in the first episode.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say the psychic paper was introduced this generation.
Yeah, the first appearance was this episode.
Was it?
It was introduced this episode.
Right, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Good to have a little Google research on hand. Anyways, so that was like a cool little, ooh, fancy. And that sold a lot. A toy of literally just a wallet with a blank sheet of paper sold a lot. Because everyone like, look at me, I've got psychic paper. BBC made millions. Probably didn't make millions, but still, I just love that Doctor Who fans will buy anything if it relates to anything like that.
Us, literally.
Now, also, I will say, for a 2005 episode, you can tell it's a very ambitious episode for a 2000s low budget Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, like you can.
I think the shots
make all this. It's all pretty believable, to be fair.
Yeah, like the shots in it, I would say actually quite good. Obviously, you can't hold it up to like 2075 compared to 2005 because obviously
I don't know,
technology has.
Like, it still looks believable.
It does. I think they did a fucking bang up job. Anywho, so the stewardess then starts to introduce everyone into the episode, and we get species after species after species, and it's like, god damn, this is a lot of species. But obviously, then we get 2 very big characters. We get introduced to Lady Cassandra, big plot of the episode, and we get to see the face of Bo for the first time. Now, we don't really know much about Face of Bo. All we know is his name is Face of Bo, and we will get back to that soon.
Yeah.
But, and also, Tree Lady, Jane, is also introduced.
Jade.
Yeah, where the Doctor... Jade? I think it's Jade, isn't it?
B. I think it's a bit... Jabe.
Jabe. I don't know. Just be happy I'm not like last episode where I couldn't remember the Altrons. Anyways, so then the Doctor has a funny interaction with her where he's like, I give you my breath, and he just awkwardly like down onto her, and she's like, whoa, intimate. Which I just always find the interaction a bit funny.
Thing is, she's introduced as like a love interest.
Yeah.
Already, it's like.
No, and then
I don't know if she really had a big impact as much as like the later one episode interests.
Not as big as Clive.
Yeah, not as big as Clive. Yeah.
Clive was a big love interest in Doctor Who. So, anyways, then Lady Cassandra, being, in quotation marks, the last human, gives everyone gifts. They give them a not plastic ball, a metal ball, which we don't really know what it is, but everyone gets one. And then she brings in an ostrich egg and tells us that in the myths, it had a 50-foot wide wingspan and could breathe fire from its nostrils, which Sounds about right for ostriches. And then also, she brings in, quotation marks, an iPod, a jukebox. But is it a jukebox? Yeah. Am I blanking? It is a jukebox.
Yeah, it's a jukebox.
Yeah.
They said it was an iPod, but it was
Yeah. Obviously, I'm just making sure I'm not sounding like a plonker by saying it was a jukebox when it was actually a record player or whatever. So, anyways, which I find funny because, again, that would probably happen where you get missed in translation.
Something I do want to say before I forget.
Go.
Cassandra is the last human because Rose isn't from this time. She can't really. I wouldn't really count her as the last human.
But humans still exist, which does get talked about in the episode.
Rose isn't from this time, so I wouldn't really count her as the last human of this time.
When I say quotations mark last human, I do mean what Rose says about how she's just skin. Not very human.
I don't know. Someone comes flying out of her at the end. I don't know what.
Some veins, I think. Anyway, we're skipping ahead. So, anyways, Lady Cassandra then says, and now I'm going to play you, I can't exactly remember, but like a banger from Earth, which she then puts Tainted Love on, which an absolute banger, but also very 2000s. It feels so like, this episode screams 2000s. Like, this is, And
I think they just need something that was like low budget that they could get like probably a bit of licensing for.
True.
And then
true. So, anyways, Rose gets a bit overwhelmed because it's like, 5 billion years in the future, 12 different species have all just walked in. So, I understand the culture shock she's probably going through a bit. And then she obviously walks away whilst the Doctor's grooving to the song. He does notice he's not cold, so he does run after her. Actually, he runs after her, but there is a moment before he actually meets up with Rose again, in which Rose meets Raffalo, the blue maintenance woman, where Rose is looking out morbidly into the abyss, and then the maintenance woman walks up and like, oi, governor. And then she don't, because she has to give permission. Yeah, gives permission to talk. But then Rose, being Rose, has a friendly conversation with her and talk about how, where's she from? And Rose just completely blanks it because she's like, you don't live on a planet? And then it's just a little cutesy little scene before Rose ponders off into another room. And then we do see the first death of the episode. Well, we assume death is Raffalo. I said a name and I've forgotten. Raffalo, yeah. She's going through the events for the Face of Buzz room. Oh, another name drop.
I think you actually forgot about, but just before with Jabe. Well, finding out that the Doctor is a Time Lord.
Oh, did I skip over that?
I think you skipped over that part.
Yeah, no, actually, no, I did skip over it. Yes, no, before the Doctor did run after Rose, she does like, oi, Doctor, and then scans him quickly, and then he still walks off. He don't even question it. In which then, yes, she's scanning, and then boom, she realizes who he is. We don't actually know. Well, we do know, but, to her, it's like impossible. And then that's the slap. And then the scene. I
think that's like building on the whole Time Lord Gallifrey.
Exactly. And then obviously, then Rose has that moment with Raffalo, walks off, and then we get the first death of Raffalo where she's in the vents, and then she sees one little bot and a spider robot, and it's like, oh, cute. I just need to put you into my system, and then it goes from 1 to like 1 million dots on her face, and it's like, oh. I do love that she don't even struggle to get out. And like, she's just kind of like, and then just gets pulled in. Like, there's no like holding her feet against the vent doors or anything like that. There's just pure ragdolling, which I do love.
Yeah, it is panic. I'd like to see you do that, but okay.
Would you not like tense up or at least try and shuffle back?
It depends, because maybe the gloves just weren't that grippy.
Just you, I accept death. No. That's what. Yeah, that's what. That's what you accept. I will allow it. But we do then, obviously realize that Rose does have her doubts about the Doctor because she is a bit like, I have literally just come with a random man 5 billion years in the future. Am I actually safe? Am I in a safe situation? Who knows? So then, anyways, the Doctor does meet back up with Rose in the room. A room, just random room. Where
observation deck.
Yes, sure.
I think it is.
It probably is. No, it probably is. It probably is. Where then the Rose does start to push on the Doctor on like who is he, where is he, why is he? But you can tell that the Doctor's still holding back quite a lot. So he walks further into the observation room, looking out in despair. Rose makes a little joke about, there's one thing my friend always says, don't annoy the taxi driver or whatever, which makes him chuckle. And then designated driver, that's it. And then again, the chemistry's getting built there. She notices when he's in a bit of a stromp, but she's quite good at getting him out of it, so that's good. And then Rose is like, and there's no point anyways because I couldn't get signal, in which then the Doctor gives Rose signal for her to then call her mum 5 billion years in the past, which impressive.
Wibbly wobbly timey-wimey. We don't talk about that.
No, yeah. One thing of being above the earth calling someone, but go on. No. We need to hear this theory now.
So the phone's connected to a certain time stream, which is obviously her from 2005. So that device they put in locks onto that origin time, and then we'll be able to always call anyone in that time.
Okay, no, I could see that being. I mean, I think that's logical. Probably goes through the TARDIS like a bit for this, But I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I mean, that works. That works. So then there's a nice little bit where she calls the mum, and the mum's obviously being Jackie. He's just being Jackie.
You all right?
You all right, love? You hungover? It's a very random interaction, but it's also just like a nice interaction because it's like, you do think whilst this phone call's happening, oh yeah, Jackie's dead on Earth below her right now. Well, everyone is, pretty much. So
we are.
The Docky Who podcast could not go on. No, anyways. So yeah, it's a nice little moment. Obviously, it's nothing too heartstringy because it's just meant to be a nice little fun bit of Docky Who. And then, yeah, it's just a nice little moment. And then Rose obviously then realizes she's dead. And it's like, well, yeah, obviously, it's 5 billion years in the future. You're going to be dead. Anyways, then the metal spiders start to show up, sabotaging random things. For example, Raffalo, the woman. But whilst the host is in his little office, he is discussing a gravitational pull, a pocket, what did shake the ship, which the Doctor did notice wasn't right. But then it cuts to him talking to people above him, probably people who more power the ship whilst it's on its cruise. And he's like, This wasn't normal. I've done many tours. I've done many things, and then, la-di do. He then announces to the ship, everything's fine, and then he picks up.
You don't want to cause panic.
Yeah, you wouldn't. But then he picks up on random dots. Well, I'm assuming dots. We don't actually see what he sees, but random things going around the ship, which he does notice, and then he's like, "What could it be?" And then one of the spiders get up onto his desk, and it's like, well, I think it might be one of them. And then he starts like asking, who did you not, you didn't get invited? For which they press a sun filter button, which is just casually laying on his desk. Why is there just a sun filter, like for on and off on the desk? No, like, are you sure button. It's just, boop. Let's get obliterated in seconds if you make a mistake by accidentally pressing that. Like,
It's Senor Plot Convenience, like, come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's one of them things I've always been like, why does he actually have that button? At what point is he gonna be like, let's see if I can get a suntan with thousands of degree heat? So, anyways,
It's
he
Senor Plot
dies.
Convenience, that's what it is.
So, anyways, he dies, and so the Doctor, anyways, is then going back thinking, what is causing this gravitational pull? For which then he bumps into Jade, the tree woman, in which they then start. All right, I'm sorry. In which they then start discussing we probably should go look at the maintenance to make sure everything's up and running fine. In which she takes him to what, and whilst walking down. Now, I actually do have to relate back to the last episode because you might have been right. Because the Ninth Doctor does mention about being on the Titanic, which now could it be a former Doctor? Who knows? But it could also be this incarnation of a Doctor, which would mean you were right and that he's probably a few years old in this body. Which then would be confusing. Right, yeah, but which would be confusing on why he hasn't looked in a mirror. You know, there's obviously mirrors on the Titanic, or a reflection of some sort you probably think you would have seen. So I'm giving you somewhat credit, but I'm also holding back just in case if it was another Doctor, because again, the Doctor can time travel. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. You know. And then it cuts back to, I believe, those talking to Cassandra and talking about how she's the last human. And Cassandra's like, yes, my mother and dad was the last people to be buried on this planet. And then obviously they talk about like how Cassandra's had 708 operations. 708. That is
709 next week.
Sorry, yeah, 700. Well, she fought. No, so, anyways, and then Rose obviously gets offended by her because she's like, well, you do have a bit of a chin. And she's like, this is no way of living like a human. I would rather die than look like you. You look like a trampoline. And it's like, oh, burn. Just a fun little interaction. Nothing too spicy. Just a bit of a human on human interaction. Aye. We're like, oh, Cassandra's got a bit of envy against him, which actually might lead to some of what's coming up very shortly. So, also one thing actually before we move on is, do you not find it weird that Cassandra's technically older than the Doctor in this? Because the Doctor's the Doctor's 900 years old, and she doesn't look a day under 2000. I always find that weird. It's like you always think Doctor's like the oldest one there, but I mean, saying that Face of Bobo clears both of them. Face of Boy is literally just like basketball dunking on him with his billions of years of age. But
no, yeah, I didn't pick up on that. Yeah,
it's just something I've always been like, you know, to him, to Cassandra, I guess the Doctor looks like a child because she's like at least 1,000 years older than him.
I mean, to be fair, the Doctor's forgotten his own age.
To be fair, the Doctor's age is still very up in the air, to be honest, because it has gone literally. Like at one point, the Doctor was like 500 years old, but then the next Doctor read out he was like 400 years old. So it is very up in the air how old the Doctor actually is. But it's meant to be around 900. Meant to be.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to have that little ramble. So then Jade, whilst also walking towards the maintenance room, tries to talk about the Time Lords to the Doctor, confronts him about it, and the Doctor obviously being a bit quiet about it because, well, you can tell he's reluctant. So anyway, she tries to comfort the Doctor, which she does actually appreciate. It's a nice sort of moment because she's like, I'm sorry that, you know, I'm sorry about your kind. I know you couldn't do anything about it, which is a nice little moment.
I would agree, yeah. It's, again, like playing on her role as a love interest, but only for an episode, and the second episode in the reboot,
Yeah, okay. I do get that. Yeah, like obviously I don't ever feel like as a big. It doesn't feel too relationshipy, does it? Like just because it is actually one episode, and you know.
Yeah, but it's from, oh yeah, intimate with the whole like breath and then.
Well, they can't be like, well, it's only going to be one episode, so let's us not have any emotional connections. So, anyways,
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. So they get to the maintenance room, and then the spider bot runs out from where they were meant to go into, and it's like, that's not maintenance. So they get the robot, scan it, and it's like, it's about to be sabotaged, the ship. In which then, whilst on the way back, they passed the stewardess's room, which is in smoke, and obviously the maintenance workers are outside panicking, like kids like, and the tree lady Jade is like, oh, is the stewardess in there? And the doctor just savagely says, you can smell him. And it's like, oh, lovely. But then the panic obviously then does set in, because whilst that is happening, Rose is in the observatory, as you said. Then another room for some reason has a sun filter button, gets activated. So the doctor's literally, running by. He hears people those screaming, and he's like, of course, you're in here, of all people. And she's like, get me out! Which is a very back and forth of sun filter rising, sun filter decreasing, up and down, blah dee dee doo. The Rose is almost dead, but not dead. He does fix it in time, but the door does jam. So she's still stuck in the room, but he does save her. So, hero point to the Ninth Doctor. So, the Doctor then goes to confront whoever brought the sabotage spider bots on board. And at first, it's like, right, okay, I've programmed it to go back to its leader, in which it does start to go towards Cassandra, but then does like a 180 turn and goes to the repeated mean bot. I think that's like
Repeats meme.
yeah. And it's like, oh. But then the doctor's like, well, the thing about repeated means is they are being controlled, and it's like, oh. Like it's a twist. And then it's like, go on, Jim Bob, go to your real owner, in which it does, to Cassandra. I know, plot twist, crazy plot twist. So Cassandra's obviously then, oh well, and actually, what does Cassandra say about it?
Like, do you think it's cheap? Do you think it's cheap looking like this?
Oh, of course, right, yes. Sorry, blank. Sorry about that, guys. There's a blank moment. Yes. Them dying of some reason would increase stocks. I think I might be yapping.
Oh yeah, no, because she has shares in all their rival companies, and so
yeah. So to her, it was a profit gain, sibling. And then the doctor's like, well, what's going to stop me? And it's like, and then I've got my men. And then the doctor says one of the most brilliant lines of, what are you going to do? Moisturize me? Which is like, yeah. I don't know. It's such a funny, it's just, with acid, obviously. But, it's just like what are you going to do? Moisturize me? With sass as well. With sass. This was a sassy doctor moment. But then Cassandra does decide, okay, I'm going to teleport away before, things do get a bit too sticky. For which, whilst teleporting away, all the robots sabotage everything, and the force field goes down, the heat starts to rise, everything's going kaput. So panic does start to set in. For which then the doctor's like, okay, we need to go to a control point. There must be like a backup, thing in case of a situation like this. Which Jade or Jabe, again, don't know, goes with the doctor again down to the fan room, the room, which there was in before, I believe, if I'm correct.
Yeah, because that's where I found the main spot, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we'll assume it was the same room. Now, obviously, it has to be on the other side of the bridge with fans going at hundreds of miles an hour, because why wouldn't it be? So the doctor...
Senor Plug bikes again.
So the doctor pulls down the switch, which does slow down the fans, and it's like, phew! I thought this was going to be another plot twist. But when he lets go, it goes back up to full speed, and it's like, aha! Now, luckily, Jade, I don't want to say a certain name if it's not, is like, don't worry, doctor, I'll hold it for you. And he's like, but you can survive this heat. And it's like, just go already. So it starts off fine. He goes through 2 propeller fans, and it's like, okay, it's still going very fast, though, to be fair. Like, it might have slowed down from hundreds of miles an hour, but it's still going at like 50 miles an hour, if not faster, slower, something like that. And also, understandable why the heat is rising, because the fans are, well, slowing down, so there's less oxygen. Yeah, bloody-dee-doo, I'm yapping. So, then, but when he gets to about halfway to maybe 3/4 of the way to the box he needs to get to, sadly, Jade dies. She bursts into flames, and it's sad. It's sad. The doctor looks back and just sees a burning tree. I know, very sad.
When you said it like that, it didn't sound that sad.
No, but it is. It's a sad.
It's a sad moment. I didn't laugh during the episode. It's just like with that way.
Yeah, no, I did word it bad. I worded it bad, but because to be fair, she was a very nice person, and like if she was in more episodes of Doctor Who, she probably would have been a big fan favorite. But it's still a sad sacrifice on her behalf. So now, anyways, the Doctor is a bit screwed because the fans are now spinning like hundreds of miles an hour, and he's only Time Lord. So he at first does try and obviously fails because, again, hundreds of miles an hour spinning around. But then the Doctor just closes his eyes with his countdown now to make the tensions higher, saying, Earth's death in 10 seconds. And it's like, oh, and it slows down. You can hear his breath, and it's like, and it's like, it's a very good moment. And again, just a little side note, Marigold, I think I'm gonna have to praise him every episode with the I think it's just called the Doctor's theme playing when he's literally like having to focus and like on every single breath before he goes through the fan, and it's got a beautiful. I'm not going to try and mimic, but yeah, mimic the noise because I will butcher the beautifulness of the score. But it's a very good scene. It's a touching scene. That like the score is touching. Like whenever I listen to it, it's like wow, there's a lot of passion being put behind it. Anyways, I'll stop yapping about the score. I just have to mention Marigold because he carries a lot of Doctor Who. I don't think a lot of people appreciate him for that, but he does. He does. Them scores in a lot of episodes.
It wouldn't be the same without.
Exactly. Anyway, so the Doctor then somehow, after 6 or 7 seconds, gets the fans down to a point where he can somehow get through fast enough. I don't know how. We won't question it. You know what? Beautiful score just happened. He's a Time Lord. He might be able to move his body at a millisecond speed. I don't know. Anyways, so he does get there.
He's the Flash.
I'm the Flash. So anyways, he does get to the box. Everything's back up and running. Jobs are good. The ship is safe. Woohoo! Celebrate. Now, but obviously, he's devastated about Jade's death, or Jade. And which she goes back to the... Yeah. She goes back to the meeting hall, which to tell her people, bodyguards, people. I'm not sure if they were bodyguards or people, but
yeah, I don't know either.
He consoles him first before unleashing his rage. So he does
Rose
that.
Before Rose as well.
Exactly, yeah. Like Rose. Oh yeah, we kind of skipped over that bit. Yeah, Rose was still stuck in a room. Some sunbeams almost hit her, but she's fine. So let's just don't worry about skipping over that scene. So anyway, so Buzz does come in after he consoles with her, and the Doctor goes up, like, comes up with the idea of, like, there must be a teleportation device which, like, links into here to where she needs to be, for him to then go up to the ostrich egg, smashes it, and guess what's inside? A teleportation device. Whoa! So obviously Cassandra's being a sassy self whilst she's teleporting back. You can hear her saying something like, "You should have seen their faces." And then she just, like, teleports back in without a men beside her, and she's like,
"Oh yeah, no, they teleport with her, but then he doesn't teleport back."
Yeah. So then she's like, "Oh, you lived, hooray!" But then obviously the Doctor, fuming as you would be, is, well, fuming, and starts to roast her about what she's done and how, like, you're going down. But then she makes out that she's just going to go to court and persuade him into believing her side of the story. But while she's saying this, you just had to hear, like creaks start to happen, and the Doctor just naturally says, "And are you going to be creaking whilst doing this?" And it's like, she's like, "Huh?" And anyways, then obviously, because she doesn't have her moisturizer men beside her, she's like, "Oh my God, it's hard, moisturize me." For which the Doctor just does the Doctor just stares into her soul, pretty much, showing the rage of a Time Lord, the fury of a Time Lord. And you can hear, like, Cassandra is literally, like, pleading for her life at this point, like, "Have pity for me, please." And even Rose has to step in and be like, "Doctor, do something." For when him to say another cold line from him, "Everything has its time and everything dies," which are like oh shit, this Doctor is not showing any mercy. This is a Doctor who's like, "Yeah, no, she's died and I want this to happen." Which, to be fair, I thought Rose would put more of a fight, but I guess, again, episode 2, she's probably not too...
He almost died twice.
Yeah, she's almost died twice. It's episode 2, and she probably doesn't want to mess around with a Time Lord who's 900 years old and has a lot more experience on her. And again, designated driver.
So yeah, don't mess with a designated driver.
You don't want to mess with a designated driver. So anyways, Cassandra then goes kaboom. She dries up that much that she literally just goes kaboom. And then that's it. Like, they barely actually even mention Cassandra after the kaboom bit. Like, it just all goes, like, obviously everyone's a bit, like, traumatized and stuff, but no one's like, "Well, who's going to clean this mess up?" With, like, a comedic tone. I don't know. Anyways, so obviously then that scene happens and everyone's, like, in remorse about the people who have died, and it's all a bit down and gloomy. But Buzz then meets up with the Doctor in the observatory for the final time. They've got to make sure they're getting their money's worth in this shot. Where they realise that the Earth's death exploded, it vanished, and no one even was paying attention because they were busy, which does upset Buzz, because it's like all that history is just gone and no one was even watching it. Which the Doctor does confide in her at the end of the episode, when he takes her back to modern day, 2005 London. He then does say to her, he opens up saying, I'm the last of the Time Lords, I'm the last of my kind, and I was in a war and I lost." And it's a nice heartwarming moment between them both. They share some tears. It was a beautiful moment. Whilst there's hundreds of people walking beside him. So if anyone heard "I'm the last of my kind," they must have just been like, what is this guy on? Anyways.
Fucking crap.
Generally. So then the Doctors has obviously give Rose the offer to go home, because she did almost die 2-3 times. I don't know. A lot this episode. To be fair, it's been a big episode for her. Culture shock, almost dying, there's a lot going on what caused it, so it's understandable that she probably might want to go home. But instead of being like, yeah, she's just like, I fancy some chips. It's like, okay then. Which, valid, we like a portion of chips, and I guess.
I mean, I fancy some right now, can't lie.
To be fair, I watched the episode and I was like, oh, some sort of mini good chips right now wouldn't go amiss right now.
I wish we have a fish chip shop down the road. I wish I could just. It costs money though.
Yeah, well,
I shouldn't be spending.
That is life. And then that is pretty much the end of the episode on like a nice playful ending as they both laugh with each other and then walk into the crowd. It's a nice ending to the second episode. Now, what's your overall rating for the episode? Because as at the beginning you said that you've lost respect for the episode.
Not lost respect. It's just like I put it on and I just found myself drifting just to go on my phone and just start scrolling. Obviously, I had to like rewatch it for this. So I'd probably give it like 6.5.
Would you? See, I think I've rated it higher than I would have. I've given the episode an 8. Maybe that was too high. It might be a 7.5, but I think after just watching it, I've gotten it in my head that it's an 8, but it could be a 7.5. It's in between one of them two. I would say it's actually I think it has its good moments. It opens up about the Time Lords a bit more because we still don't really know what's going on about the Time Lord. We're getting little breadcrumbs, and I think we're getting a bit more throughout this episode with Jade being able to know what his kind was and consoling him, saying, I'm sorry to hear what's happened, meaning that we know it's somewhat devastating, which we didn't know anything about it really in the last episode. And there's some good moments. I think there's some good moments. A lot of new random species is what we see. We get Face of Bo and Cassandra, 2 characters who may or not appear again. And yeah, I would say I think it's a solid episode. If you compare it to modern day Who, I would say it's a solid episode. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, it's still like you can still watch it and nothing really controversial in my opinion. But well, that's my opinion, ain't
it? Now it's time for a fun fact of the week, Josh. Our favorite bit of the segment. This episode was visually expensive. Visually the most expensive episode within the series, and actually was a significant portion of the season CGI budget. So, pretty much, when people mock the CGI of Series 1, it's because they blew probably like 70% of the budget on that one episode just to make it a visual stunner. Which I think it is.
I mean, yeah, it does look better than the rest. But then they use all the little budget they had to make the others.
Yeah, so could they have maybe been a bit... Yeah, but to go from like the plastic bin scene to the sun expanding over Earth with some really nice looking shots, to be fair, you are like, oh yeah, I can definitely tell this was the expensive episode of the series. But yeah, I would say it's a solid. It's 7.58 for my opinion, but you say a 6, so I guess we could maybe make it a 7. That's our total rating, a 7. Yeah. In between. It's a good episode. It's light, it's playful. It's got some good moments in it, I would say.
It's got good moments, just I didn't enjoy it as much as I remembered.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it more. That's what shocked me about it. But yeah, I would say it's a good episode, and now obviously we're going on to The Unquiet Dead next week. Is it The Unquiet Dead? Have I just butchered it?
Yes.
I have just butchered it. It is...
No, it's called The Unquiet Dead.
Yes! I am not a Doctor Who.
That's what I was dreaming, but yeah, that's the name. You've butchered it.
Oh, right,
You
okay.
did not.
I was thinking, no, my entire Doctor Who career is over. No, so everyone can look forward to that next week on Tuesday, we hope. I don't know. And yeah, that's a interesting episode coming up, which I'm sure we will yap about enough. And thanks to everyone who has listened or watched this podcast episode of Whovian Wire. And if you've got any questions or want us to answer any questions next episode, we are more than willing to answer. Mainly because we have no one watching yet. But again, thank you for watching or listening, and we will see you next week. Would you like to say anything? Goodbye.